Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today, as we'll be going over how managed security service providers can quickly transform into managed detection and response providers with the capabilities provided by security orchestration, automation, and response solutions. We'll specifically be covering how you can modernize your portfolio of services to include incident response and threat hunting capabilities. Before we begin, I want to let everyone know that we will be recording this webinar and that we will email out a copy later today after the webinar is over, so you can refer back to that at any point in time. Furthermore, we will also be hosting a Q&A at the end of this session, so feel free to use the Zoom control panel at the bottom of your screen to ask those questions at any time, and we'll help address those at the end. Today, I am joined by Dean, who is the Director of Global Service Providers here at Simplify, along with Gal, who is the leader of our MSSP engineering team. So with that, I will let Dean take it from here.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate the time, everybody. My name is Dean Papa. Like Chris said, I manage our global service provider practice for Simplify. A little bit of background, I've been doing security going on 20 years. The last 9 I spent at Symantec running our MSS business. So I have a lot of background and experience in the MSSP world and want to carry some of that over in how we kind of articulate that today. So kind of get started, we want to talk about, the current environment in the MSSP world today. So, looking back to how MSSP started, it started based on the ability to pull detections from endpoint technologies and marry them to snort signatures. And as they've evolved, you've been able to mature in the space, but there's been limitations that have always been the case. The ability to demonstrate value across the visibility landscape has always been difficult. If you're monitoring specific point devices, you're not able to see the entire landscape. When SIM started to get into the market, we've started to see some expansion of that, where we're able to pull from syslog and have more integrations that would tie into it, but it was a very slow process over time. The complexity of the end customer, it's always been an immature environment where MSSPs would take over that responsibility of security posture. As we've evolved into the space, the complexity has become more difficult because you're looking at co-managed SIM environments, multiple point technologies. It's very difficult to track kind of the technology landscape. Also, the depth of maturity within the organizations have started to increase as well. So you had a lot of people looking over your shoulder, trying to determine what you can and can't see, things of that nature. The limitations for manual process, we're going to talk a lot about today, but the ability to have the automation take advantage of the manual limitations, right? So how long does it take your analysts to validate incidents, right? How long, once they validate, is your incident lifecycle based on the severity, things of that nature. And we are seeing this today on an immense scale, but the competitive landscape is really starting to take off in the MSSP market, right? So a lot of MSPs have started to become service providers on security. And the topic of conversation today is how we take an MSSP and add the MDR, NDR type functionality to it. So a lot of competition out there. What that means is not going to win as many deals. There's a lot of churn that you have to address. How do you make your customers happier? How do you show more value? How do you enhance your visibility? All those things we want to cover as far as that topic. So with that, we're seeing a lot of momentum within the MDR market. Obviously, MDRs are using EDR technologies. EDRs are an enhancement of endpoint, right? Where we're able to kind of pull out alerts specifically from those technologies and then provide managed services on top of it. So what we see is that, and Gartner verifies this as well, we're seeing a huge growth within MDR services that are being provided to our customers on a daily basis. So within 2024, we're going to see 25% of all organizations use some type of MDR service. Right now, we're trending at about 5%. That 5% was from a zero-based growth. So it's significant growth in a very short period of time that we're seeing a lot more scale to. Also, the target market is really diverse, but we're seeing a lot of mid-sized enterprise organizations really adapt this technology. So there's a lot of endpoints that are out there that we're able to take advantage of. So the more telemetry you have, i.e. the more analysis you can provide, stronger efficacy, things of that nature. So how our MSSPs are offering MDR today, it's really helping you kind of compete against others in the space and win those customers. Once you have those customers, you make them happier, right? So this eliminates churn. And that will in turn allow you to grow your business by providing additional features and services, We'll talk a little bit about some of those today. Being able to blend in incident response, network forensics is a huge pillar to providing that additional value, but also the ability to add hunting based off of a core platform in an agnostic form. So you don't have to marry yourself to one specific EDR technology. It's whatever the customer dictates you can have out there. So the core components of MDR is you have your endpoint technology, the ability to kind of tap into the analytics, the threat intelligence is really kind of a core pillar within the MSSP world, right? So marrying the analytics based on the alerts that are firing off, correlating them against threat intelligence so you can validate efficacy if this is known good or known bad, marry that to kill false positives, to associate that with the forensics data that you're able to pull, and that's all going to get to the human that's going to do the level 1 analysis to validate if this is an incident. So with MDR, we're able to automate a lot of that process flow, right? Because we can grab from the alerts specifically and pull those in the environment compared to, the current state where you're pulling logs from the SIM and you have to analyze and correlate those. So as the alerts come in, they come kind of loaded with guidance and remediation steps that we can automate as part of that process flow. So as we see this validation steps today, especially around detection, right? We're able to marry the detection in an automated fashion that allows for very seamless validation of an incident. That's really a lot of the value that we see, specifically from the EDR on top of what we see from a monitoring standpoint today. The response is a real huge differentiator, right? So once we validate this incident, what do we do with it and turn it into our incident lifecycle or level 2, right, for analysis to validate this investigation. So from the validation point, right, we're able to kind of use the simplified platform to assemble the context, normalize the data, determine the severity, all in an automated fashion. Then we can provide guidance through the MSSP, right, to be able to take actions for the remediation steps that are out there. So being able to kind of automate this process flow on the validation side of things is really about automation. And then marrying it to response is really kind of setting us apart, but now you can start to understand where that risk is and target that risk in an automated fashion. So, the MDR powered by Simplify, we really kind of take this to a new level, right? So what Simplify really does is provide a platform that will kind of unify all the communication flow that comes in. So we've had a lot of organizations that marry directly to a specific EDR technology. There's some great ones out there today. I highly recommend you look at all of them and run analysis to determine which one is the best fit for you in your customer environments. The beauty of what Simplify offers in this space is we're agnostic. So we allow you to dictate which platform you prefer to use, or if you want your customer to dictate which endpoint technology they prefer to use. We're able to provide the same user experience across no matter what the platform is. So the detection integrations within Simplify, we've married 200 plus integrations across every security technology out there and continue to grow and evolve that on a daily basis. We've got a dedicated team working on integrations globally and is really focused on what the customers are driving and what our service providers are telling us to focus on. The ability to normalize this via enrichment and analysis is all innately built into the platform. So you no longer have to go tap into multiple different UIs for EDR technology or this SIM or this vulnerability. Everything integrates directly into our platform, and the analyst has the same user experience across that. So no longer do you need to take more time, right? Which is always the defactor, right? That we're trying to focus on is how do we help manage time? How fastly can we validate? And how quickly can we resolve that risk is all time-based. So we kind of normalize this and allow you to get a much cleaner experience to help you manage time more effectively. Playbooks are very powerful, right? Playbooks at the end of the day, it's Python talking to REST in most cases, which a lot of people can do. What we do differently is we integrate this directly into the customer environment via remote agent or via API if it's cloud. So if you have a use case scenario where you're working with a cloud-based EDR provider, Simplify provides the same user experience as if that was on-prem, and we're ability to use agent to go in remotely and validate based on that playbook, gives the end user experience activity into what they're seeing, but it gives the MSSP power to really make decisions on what they're seeing. So, the way a lot of the MSSPs have to work today, as I'm sure you're aware, is you grab the logs, you analyze them in a reactive fashion, you correlate to remediate false positives, and then classify the incidents into category. So that takes time, right? In that time, you're losing out on the ability to understand. So with our capability of automation, we're able to tap into that pre-process of validating. And then once we confirm we need to go look for something else, the playbook will go back into the environment and look for response telemetry, artifacts, anything associated with it, correlate that against additional users within Active Directory, just give you the direct information that you need to really understand the environment and then manage that appropriately. In addition to that, Simplify provides a full crisis collaboration center called Command Center. This is if one of your end customers is infected with a ransomware or a malware of something that's causing their business to be affected, we have a secure platform that they are able to access in and do full collaboration until resolution of the incident. So what we're trying to do is optimize all levels within a SOC optimization environment. And a lot of that function and capability is really unified within our platform. And then finally, the ability to provide metrics and reporting. It's a huge benefit, right? Where we can tap into what you're providing your end customers today as far as reporting and then show enhancement to that. And that's really what Simplify does with our SOC metrics reporting at our core. And then our integration, we call business intelligence or customer dashboard experience down through your end customer. So where the customers, in the past have felt isolated, it's felt like there were kind of two channels, two lanes you guys were running in. We're able to pull that customer into your environment and make your vision as far as the efficacy you're providing to be very profound, right? It also allows your customers to see more value in that, which eliminates your churn and provides stronger renewal rate and allow you the ability to upsell. So we see a lot of value in that, a lot of capabilities that will continue to expand out. We also see a lot of diverse end customers, right? From state and local government to healthcare to global financials to manufacturing, retail. It's very diverse in the complexity or maturity of each of these organizations and how we scale to that. So within Simplify, we scale and manage to any level of maturity. Whether a customer has a SIM or not, doesn't matter. We're able to provide the MDR service based on the platform with the EDR that they have deployed on site or the one that you deploy out there. So there's no longer a requirement for a SIM. If you have a SIM and you guys are managing it, we're able to integrate directly into that environment as well. So there's no real limitations on our ability to scale. The beauty at the end of the day, and what I've always focused on is how fastly can I mature my end customer? What's my maturity curve? What's the posture today? And how do I get it to the next level? Our platform really provides a unified vision to be able to do that, right? And no matter the level or service that you're providing to your end customers, that the capacity is there, right? So if you're looking at a maturity model, we can marry to that. If you're providing operational efficiency, we can marry to that. If you're doing SLA on up downs, we can marry to that. So we're extremely flexible in how we provide the service. The automations and the integrations allow it to work more efficiently and effectively. And at the end of the day, the end customer is able to reap the benefits of the service that you're providing. The partnerships and ecosystems that we have, we mentioned we have over 200 plus integrations. These are just some of the call outs. We also work with them directly as a lot of customer engagement. So we're very profound in the service provider side, but we're able to provide these levels of service, both with the EDR providers and expanding into the MDR providers and now into the NDR providers, right? So I think the vision of EDR, right, was really started with the endpoint, but now marrying it to the ability to collect from the endpoint and now also collect packets from log or network side of things. So now you can correlate logs against packets, against alerts, and really give you full visibility into what we see into the environment. Within the ecosystem, you can see we connect with just about everything, but a lot of ticket integration, a lot of EDR integration, anything SIM related, threat intelligence, marries very complementary to what we do. At the end of the day, Simplify as an enabler, right? So we work with entirely in the ecosystem as a complement to the service provider to really enhance your end user experience and deliver this message down. So with that, I'll turn it over to Gal, who will kind of get into a little bit of the demo, talk a little bit more in depth about the service offering, and we'll get into the interface. We can show you a little bit about that. Gal, you there?
Yep, thank you. Yeah, basically, you summed it up really good, right? At the end of the day, what we focus on, and like you said, a lot of our customers today are MSSPs and MDRs, and we kind of see that trend. And even before jumping to, the features and functions, I just wanted to say a quick word on the approach that we've taken to MSSPs and to service providers in the platform. At the end of the day, the bottom line is that we've developed our platform not just for the purpose of automating Python scripts one after the other, right? That's the easy part and everybody can do that. But we've really designed the platform for the understanding that unlike the rest of our customers, your SOC is your core business, right? And the thinking behind our design is to build it around the way service providers like you guys grow your business and do business. So our goals and KPIs are not just to build playbooks, right? And we obviously do that, but to also help you grow your business. And really the way that we see it, there are 4 main buckets of values or pain points, depending how you want to call it, regarding managed services, right? That we can help you improve with the platform. You have to sell it, you have to onboard it, you have to maintain it, and then you have to renew it. And we build the core functions of the platform really around those 4 buckets, right? Thinking how we can help you do better. How can we help your salespeople and give them new tools to be more competitive in this very competitive market of yours? How can we help you increase your margins and bottom line profits with the automation like Dean just mentioned? How can we help you improve the time to value to your customers by helping you become more efficient? And how to improve your customer relationship at the end of the day and really kind of help you grow, not just the bottom line because we make you more efficient, but also how can we help with the top line revenues and help you kind of try to offer new things that you just can't offer today, right? And that really where the remote agents and all the platform is really kind of coming around. So I'll just share my screen and I'll demonstrate everything that I just talked about. So Dean, if you can just give me permissions here, unshare yours. Thank you. Cool. So just kind of before jumping into a case and how do we investigate and all of that, I have a very few important notes that I just have to kind of mention here. The platform, like I said, was built from the ground up because most of our customers, or at least half of our customers today, are kind of service providers. So the platform was built from the core as a multi-tenant platform, and that allows us to help you manage in every aspect of the platform. And we really see ourselves not just as an automation tool, but as a SOC management platform. And we can help you manage all your customers from this one view, right? In just, we call it environment. So just keep that in mind. Those are some fictitious customers that I created here. So you'll come across those logos and names throughout the demo. But really every aspect of the platform is multi-tenant, right? The cases, playbooks for customers, dashboards for customers, customer portals, command center for managing incidents or integrations for different customers. So that was just very important for me to kind of mention. So as an MDR, right, I get a lot of alerts from different EDR vendors, not specifically from one vendor, but it can be different, products from different vendors that basically generate alerts to Simplify. I want to cover very quickly on how we get the data into Simplify, right? So there are really a few ways for this. First one is obviously we can tap into a SIM, right? So it's either if it's your central multi-tenant SIM or your customers host their own SIM, whether if it's on their premises or on a cloud. We can actually bring remote alerts into Simplify using our remote agents, which basically allows Simplify to kind of connect remotely, and they send the alerts in a secure way into Simplify. The second way, and this is something that, as a technical guy that works a lot with MDRs and kind of sees a lot of trends, is I see a lot of mid-market customers of MDRs trying to get away from a SIM, right? If they don't have to have a SIM, they really don't want to own a SIM because, it's very hard to maintain, it's expensive, it's hard to manage. And they would like to purchase MDR services, right? Because it's important for them, and maybe they own one of the EDRs out there and they want to get the service around it, but they really don't want to own a SIM. So what we did here is we actually have connectors that can pull alerts directly from EDR products as well, right? And really I'm talking about all of them, and just browse through the marketplace kind of, you know, while I'm talking. And like Dean mentioned, we have about 200 integrations to different products and tools out there, and this is really growing kind of every week. But essentially, we can tap into a SIM or directly into any EDR and collect alerts directly from there without the need of owning or having a SIM. So that is something I personally see as a trend for those mid-market customers. So just my 2 cents on that. Now, when we get the data into Simplify, right, from the different SIMs, and it doesn't matter if they're, you know, remote on-prem on the customer, or you host them, or it's on a cloud, or whatever, right? When we get the data, basically what we do is we first of all try to analyze the data before opening a case, right? And that comes to what Dean mentioned in the beginning around the correlation, right? When we talk to EDRs, we want to make sure we correlate different alerts together under a single case, so your analysts just have more context into what they're investigating, and that kind of kicks off a better threat hunting process for your analysts, right? And so when we get the data, the raw data from the different EDRs, basically what we do is we parse those, right? And we extract all the entities out of them. So all the host names or IP addresses or hashes or process names or paths or everything that we get from every EDR, even, you know, MITRE attack techniques so we can enrich based on that, is being enriched into Simplify. And then before opening a new case for every alert that we get, we basically ask ourselves a question, and we're saying, is there any open case already for that customer, right? Because we're multi-tenant. So is there any open case already for that customer, which has one of those entities that I just received in common? If yes, we're going to automatically cluster them and kind of correlate them together under a single case. So the analyst that is already investigating this case for you know, the virus found or malware alert that we've received from any EDR, doesn't really matter, it will just get more context into what they're investigating, right? And we'll see in a second, how do we understand what is the pivot entity, right? What we grouped it based on, but that's really kind of what we do there. And so I'm going to put my analyst hat on for a second and really investigate a malware detected case as an analyst in Simplify, right? So I've received, you know, alerts in Simplify. I see a malware detected case here. I can see the customer name, right? So because we're multi-tenant, I can see that those came from different EDRs for different customers. And I can obviously, you know, filter based on one of my customers and really kind of get information per tenant here. And then what I would ask myself as an analyst when I open a case for the first time are usually 3 questions just to understand the business impact and the importance and criticality of this case, right? And those questions would usually be, what happened, when it happened, and who's involved? And really, it's very easy for me to answer those because of, you know, the case overview that Simplify gives me, because we normalize all the data like Dean mentioned. And I, like, as an analyst, I really don't care if it came from a Carbon Black or a CrowdStrike or a McAfee or from a Symantec or Sentinel-1 or whatever it is, right? It looks the same in Simplify. I investigate a Simplify case and I have entities which were generated by Simplify, and I really don't care what the backend product is. It could be anything, but I don't have to be experts on 20 products. And that really, you know, shortens the onboarding time for your analyst. And also, it doesn't limit you to any technology stack. You can support any EDR that your customer wants to onboard. And so for the question, what happened, I can see that Simplify is automatically correlated 2 different alerts for me, right? Under the same case. 2 of them, you know, are about the virus that was found and you know, different times. Then for the when it happened, I can see the timeline over here, which will really show me, you know, when each of the alerts were fired. And I can see those on a graph, like as a trend. Like, so for example, you know, in this case, I can see that I have 4 different alerts on a timeline in different times, and I can kind of see the trend on a timeline. Now, for the next question, which is who's involved, is like I said in the beginning, we automatically extract all the entities from the raw data from whatever EDR you're ingesting the data from. So I can already see all the hashes and all the, endpoints that were involved, and I can see the process name, I can see the paths, and really that is all generalized, right? So we create this common language in your SOC, so you don't have to care where it came from. And then on top of what happened, when it happened, and who's involved, I already have all my insights or all my answers that ran from my playbooks, right? So, I mean, kind of the glue that keeps it all together are the playbooks. And you can see this tiny icon for every one of the alerts, which basically say, alert has a playbook. And that means that, when this alert was ingested into Simplify, it has triggered an automated workflow. And if I click on one of the alerts, I can actually see all the playbooks that ran for them, right? So I can, see different enrichments, and I can click on the steps and really, cuckoo file sent to detonation, or, sandbox report fetched, and, entities that were enriched with all their DNS and TCP and URL activity. So everything is here, and we also, obviously kind of document all the responses in the case wall, right? So that's really kind of the place where you collaborate, and you can, see my virus total scan for this hash and kind of see all the responses. So we always keep all the raw data, including all the raw JSONs, for every one of the automated enrichments, right? But what we try to do is we automatically kind of bring you insights, so you don't have to read through all those JSONs and raw data. And as an analyst, even a junior one that opens this case for the first time, I can see what happened, when it happened, who's involved, and all my answers from all the different devices. So I can see that, my threat intelligence tells me this is, ransomware, bad rabbit, this is malicious, right? That's why we changed the color to red. I can see from my maybe EDR, or one of my EDRs, that we have found additional IOC. So I can expand my investigation and kind of do some more threat hunting. I can see response from another EDR that maybe tells me that the operating system running on one of those hosts, or two of those hosts, right, are Windows 10. And that really helps me kind of understand where do I want to take this investigation, even as a junior analyst, is that, that is going to definitely affect my decision, right? If I would see this as a server and not a Windows 10 machine, I would probably escalate it a bit faster and a bit more aggressively, and would maybe change the priority of this to critical and not just high. So I really get all that data. And then on top of that, my next question would be not just what happened, when it happened, who's involved. And really now I have some more context, but I see that Simplify grouped two different alerts under one case for me. My next question as an analyst would be why, right? What is the contextual relationship between those two alerts? And based on what did Simplify group them? So I can click on the explore button right there, and we build this graphical relationship map for every one of the cases in Simplify, right? And in the middle of the view, you can see the live graphical representation of all the entities that took place in this case, right? And I'm calling it live because this is updating as alerts will get correlated into this case. And on the left pane, you can see all the alerts that we grouped by the chronological order, right? And a click on one of those will just mark for me on the graph the entities relevant for that specific alert. So even as a very junior analyst, I can understand that what happened here is that I had a first alert that virus was found, right? And this way, in this case, I can see the device product. In this case, it came from semantic endpoint protection. I can really see all the alert information right there, and I see that on that computer in the organization, in this path, we found this process name with this hash, which was found suspicious, right? And then a few minutes later, I had another alert from the same device, right? Which basically told me that on this computer in the organization, in this path, we found another hash, right? So it looks like a different thread, but they both were connected to Firefox.exe, which is really, that's why we group those based on. You can see we kind of mark those pivot entities with this shield around them. So even as a very junior analyst, I can now understand that it looks like for the same customer, right? Within a few seconds, I had two different malware alerts with two different hashes, but they were both linked to the same process. So that maybe is telling me something. Maybe I have, you know, an APT here that I need to investigate, which changes the hashes all the time, but we keep grouping them because we understand the context here. And those two different alerts that you see here would necessarily be investigated by, you know, different analysts in your SOC without the second layer of dynamic correlation engine. And we really group them to try to give analysts more tools and more context into what they're investigating. Now, on top of just, you know, investigating from the graph and seeing the context, because my playbook has ran, right, and we enriched all those entities with information, if I click on any one of them, I'll get more data on them because we already did the automatic enrichment with the playbooks. So if I click on this endpoint, right, I can see all my enrichment from my EDR, right? That says that the default language is English, and I can see the domain, I can see, you know, last logins or free memory or IP address and MAC address, right? Or what is the operating system that runs there, and what's the agent status, you know, on it, right? So I can really get all the data, you know, where it's physically located. I can see all the data around this. If I click on that one, I'll also get all the data around that one. And if I click on one of the hashes, for example, I'll see all my enrichment from all my, you know, threat intelligence. So I understand why Simplify changed the color of this one to red because of, you know, what I see. So I can see all the TCP and DNS activity on that hash that are known, right? Which URLs is it trying to actually communicate to? And then I can go to, you know, other threat intelligence and really kind of get all the data around that. Now, we also allow to expand the investigation or even take remediation steps from this graph as well. So let's say now I understand that my process here is actually joined between them two, and I want to get more data around this process, for example, right? What I need to do basically is I can, you know, just click on one of those entities, and then I can, you know, just click on manual action, and I'll see all the integrations that Simplify has in my SOC or in my remote customer SOC. And let's say I want to get more information around a process. All I have to do is just look for that, and then I can go to my, you know, Carbon Black and enrich the process. So go to my Cyber Reason or Sentinel-1 or whatever, you know, integration we want, and I can just get more data on the process. Or if I wanted to block this hash, I can just, you know, look for a block hash. And then I can just go and block my hash, and, you know, it's already there. And the moment I click execute here, Simplify will automatically shoot this API command either to a cloud instance of this EDR or to an on-prem using our agent. And then we will get back all the responses and document them in the case log, right? So you'll see which analyst ran which action, what was the result, what, you know, time did it take place, and then you can really get your customers a report based on what you did, how did you, you know, find out about more things, and really investigate this and kind of expand this to a threat hunting scenario when you query your EDR around things like, hey, give me all the alerts from the last 20 days that involves one of those hashes, or give me all the alerts around this endpoint from the last month, right? Or give me all the logins for that user. So we can really expand this investigation and try to understand, you know, what other aspects are being, you know, attacked here in the customer's kind of premise, right? Cool. So that's how a simplified case looks like. I'll take a couple of more minutes to just maybe talk about the playbooks, and then we'll leave some room for Q&A. So like you've seen here, you know, everything is really kind of being automated by playbooks. This is a place where you kind of see the playbooks that ran, but you can really build the playbooks and really modify them and simplify. So I'll mention a couple of things that I think are very important specifically for EDR, right? I'm not going to bore you with dragging and dropping blocks, but mainly we have a lot of playbooks that we can show as examples here. We've seen our marketplace of integrations, and one of the aspects of our marketplace, just to keep you up and running very fast, is we also have a use cases marketplace. And I think that's a very important, like, you know, key here. The use cases marketplace, which we update weekly, both from our community, but everything is being certified by Simplifying. We have a team that actually builds those use cases, is that we try to give you out of the box use cases to different, EDRs or different vendors, so you can actually, just deploy them very quickly, and then, just automate them out of the get-go. So you'll get a verified and tested playbooks in scenarios for different, products. They can be EDRs, they can be other things. And for example, if I wanted to get my Sentinel-1 threat remediation, all I have to do now is just click on that. I got a video that shows me, how this is being deployed and how it looks like and how it works. I have my description. And we basically give you a playbook that we've built, right, for threat remediation. We give you all the integrations that can be installed automatically as part of this use case. We give you some test cases that you can really run and test this playbook against, and not just wait for, a real attack. And all the connectors to ingest directly alerts from either a SIM or one of those vendors. And the moment I click deploy here on any one of those, right? So, and we actually expand those to other vendors as well. And we build it together with those partners of ours, is we try to get you up to speed very fast with, a lot of types of integrations and playbooks. So you don't have to build them from the ground up, especially if you want to try and offer new services on top of EDRs or products that you just don't offer today, right? So kind of expand this. And the moment I install those, right, a simplified playbook is basically, built out of drag and drop blocks, and it's all very intuitive. You don't need to know any code in order to do that. We work with some organizational units that we call blocks, which are kind of like functions in a code, right? So you can build those blocks or kind of like subroutines or sub playbooks, and you can reuse them over and over. So you can say, generic triage or carbon black enrichment block, Sentinel-1 enrichment block, CrowdStrike enrichment block, and you can reuse those blocks in multiple playbooks. So it's actually easier to manage and smarter for you, because if at some point you want to change the way, you do triage, you don't have to go through 100 playbooks and modify them, but just change that one block. And then a playbook would look like this. And obviously you have a trigger that can say, whenever I get a malware alert, let's call my generic triage block. And if I click on that, I'll get a sneak peek into what that block is doing. I can make a decision if it's a false positive or not, close the case if it is, escalate it, or call an escalation block if it's not. And then I can ask my analyst, hey, would you like us to contact the customer and send them all the data that we just, collected? Yes or no? And based on your customer's ticketing system, we can, contact them through a ServiceNow or a Jira or an email or a Slack or kind of whatever they use, right? Last thing I'll just mention is everything that you see here is really out of the box. But for those of you and the engineers that want to get, a very expert and very advanced and very specific into what you do, everything that you install from the marketplace, we actually have an IDE integrated here into the system. So you can really see our code and Python code that we bring out of the box to different integrations, and you can modify that. You can, write your own integrations and even upload them to our community marketplace. It's very straightforward and definitely one of the smartest IDEs embedded in a SOAR platform. With that, I'll leave some room for Q&A. So Chris, Dean, back to you guys.
Awesome. Thanks for the presentation, Gal. Just a reminder for everyone, you can ask questions using the control panel on the bottom of your screen, but just jumping in right here. I know someone already asked if we integrate with ArcSight SIM, and the answer being yes, but what happens in the event that we don't have a current integration with someone's security solutions that they use?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we do integrate to ArcSight Logger and ArcSight SIM. We have a lot of integrations out there. We update this weekly, right? And because we are independent vendor, right, and we're not owned by a huge corporation, we're very agile and we don't play favorites, right? We build this marketplace because of our customers' requests. And if we don't have an integration, and it's a market standard integration, usually we just add it, and our turnaround is very quick for that. If you don't want to wait and you want to develop your own, like I said, we have an IDE integrated here, so you can definitely feel free to look at our SDK documentation and also build those with you. But we also, update them normally, and we get some from our community, which we kind of certified there.
Thanks, Gal. Next question. How do we manage user permissions, and can they be customized based on function?
Yeah, sure. So we have a very granular, permission mechanism in Simplify. You can create different permission groups within Simplify. Some of them can be for tier 1 analysts or for your customers or from admins. And you can really decide on which, like every user, not just get a permission group, but also to which environments or which tenants data they can see, right? So for every user, you can set a permission group, which will allow them to view only or not see at all, or edit every aspect of the platform. You can also even restrict actions, right? So for example, I don't want my tier 1 analyst to be able to block hashes, right? Or do remediation steps at customer sites, which might be very obvious, right? So I can actually restrict those in the groups as well. And this is very granular in terms of, which user sees which data in the platform.
Awesome. And someone would like to know approximately how long it takes to get up and running with Simplify.
So that's a very quick process, right? Because we try to bring everything out of the box, I would say, a few days or hours, and it depends on the complexity on the use cases. And I think the best answer for that would be, we offer a community version, right? So everyone can just go out there and download our community. And again, we bring all the integrations out of the box, so you don't have to write any code. We bring the use cases and playbooks out of the box, so you can just, try them or modify them and play with them a little bit to suit them to you. But the turnaround is very, very quick. And after the deployment, from the deployment till the time you actually try to see value, that's a very fast process, because we already, have everything kind of out of the box.
Right. And someone would like to know if there are end customer dashboards as well as dashboards for the MSSP.
Yeah, sure. So we do offer kind of what we call, a dashboard for the MSSPs, and we have some BI tools, and we can discuss that very quickly. But mainly the answer is yes, right? You can create different dashboard pages, and you can decide who to share them with. Now, you can create your customers a user login in Simplify, and because we're multi-tenant, you can give them access to only see information for their specific tenant. So as an MSSP, I can see my metrics, from all pages around all my environments or all my customers. So I can really get more visibility into my SOC status, ROI dashboard, maybe, some stuff around my playbooks dashboards and how efficient they are and what's my average time run and, how much cases they actually close automatically, and on, right? SOC improvement. And then you can create your customer facing dashboard. So you can create just a new page, and then you can decide to share that page with your customers. So when they log in, they get a view only dashboard of only the metrics that you decide to show them. We call them cheerleaders, right? Because you decide, what data your customers actually see. And then when your customers log in, and also you can do it, but you can choose, which environment or which one of my customer I want to filter this dashboard to. Now, because I have permissions to see all of my customers, I can just filter, some of them or all of them, or hey, show me data around my financial sector customers or for my government customers or healthcare. When your customers log in, they don't see any button except for dashboards. And this is a view only dashboard for only the information that you chose to show them, only for their data, right? So that's the answer.
Thank you, Gal. Real quick, someone would like you to just quickly re-show the multi-tenant support in our platform and what you're able to do with it.
Sure. So like I said, every aspect in the platform is really multi-tenant, right? This is the place where you create your environments. and manage them, right? And you can actually add some, variables here so we can make decisions in a playbook automatically. So which ticketing system does each customer use? What's this level of service that we sold them? Which EDR they use? What's their sector, etc. And then every aspect of the platform, including cases, right? So cases are per customer. I can filter different cases for different customers, and as long as I have permissions to see them. For my entities, this is also per customer. So let's say I want to get more information around this hash, for example, I can just click on that and I can see all the data that I collected about this entity, right? So previous cases, enrichments that we've received, case distribution per product, but I can get this per customer and I can generate a report for that. So I can see that this hash not just appeared in Wayne Enterprises, but also in Pied Piper in my company, right? So if I click on those, I'll just get different enrichment for different customers. Same with the dashboards that we've just seen, playbooks, obviously. So when I create a new playbook, our first question would be, which customers does this playbook belong to? Is it all your customers? Is it some of your customers? And you can actually create those generic playbooks that will automatically understand, which customer, they run for, and then they use those integrations accordingly. And obviously, searching or reports, when I generate a report for SLAs or SOC management or SOC status, first question is, which customer do you want us to include in this report? And you can actually automate those reports. So you can, send this SLA report every Monday morning to this customer, and bring data from a week back, and just send it to the environment contact automatically, right? So really every aspect in the platform is multi-tenant.
Awesome. Thanks again, Gal. I think with that, we're going to wrap up the Q&A session and the presentation today. So I want to thank everyone again for joining us and for staying in touch. If you guys have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I know Dean and Gal both are always eager to help answer any questions anyone has at any time. So with that, Dean, if you want to share any closing remarks before we leave it.
No, just really appreciate you guys taking the time out of the day to give us a listen. Really excited about what we're doing over here, and the fact that we're focused on service providers as our core pillar and foundation. Any feedback that you have, anything you guys would be interested in having us take a look at possibly building, don't hesitate. This is what we're all about. So thank you for your time, everybody. I appreciate it.